The centennial of the Great Gatsby. 100 years, 1925 to 2025, since the publication of The Great Gatsby. As featured today, Scott's historical fiction as one of his many inspirations from the poet Percy Bysshe Shelley. On Speak Low Poetry, What Light Was on Amazon, featuring this historical fiction of Scott. All right. Scott Fitzgerald is in the French Riviera, and he is dealing with many pains, griefs, and losses and strains with his wife and himself and his society at large. And as he is dealing with this, he is writing in What Light Was, a fictive history of the Shelleys that is inspiring him in his journey of writing The Great Gatsby. Scott, as he is starting to understand his own culpability in what is happening to him and what is to emerge from him, he is writing his fictive manuscript of Shelley undergoing his own catharsis and vision of dealing with the expulsion of his pain. Scott, on the Riviera, writing his editor, lists a biography that he has read on Shelley that is suggested to him and that any other person should read it as he's sitting there composing The Great Gatsby. I'm going to read you an excerpt on Shelley from this biography, and then I'm going to read you two excerpts on Shelley that Scott is writing in his historical fiction, In What Light Was. From the mid-19th century biography memoirs that Scott is reading on the Riviera about Percy Bysshe Shelley. Before I intro with that, why this parallel matters is that all four of the main authors, main characters in What Light Was, Scott Fitzgerald, Zelda Fitzgerald, Maryshelley, Percy Shelley, in their own lifetimes were all four considered infidels. And the ways that interacted and encountered with them in their lives carried through in their writings, now that they're these celebrated, eternalized authors of Western fiction, key figures, was not the case while they were writing these works. And here's some insight into Shelley that Scott finds as an insight into himself. Swiftly gliding in, blushing like a girl, a tall and thin stripling held out both his hands. Although I could hardly believe, as I looked at his flushed, feminine, artless face, that it could be the poet, I returned his warm pressure. I was silent from astonishment. Was it possible this mild-looking, beardless boy could be the veritable monster, at war with all the world, excommunicated by the fathers of the church, deprived of his civil rights by a fiat of the grim Lord Chancellor, discarded by every member of his family, and denounced by the rival sages of our literature as the founder of a satanic school? I could not believe it. It must be a hoax. Scott's fictive biography of Shelley, What Light Was. Over-amplified, Shelley's increasingly heightened mental strains are unleashing the psychic imagery of his Gothic machinery. His appreciation of the abnormal is developing into his literary aesthetic of terror, allying the beautiful and the grotesque. Through the increased perceptive powers of his awful hypersensitivity, Shelley believes he's perceiving the conscious entrance of invisible phenomena. Like the prey of the two alluring, glaring eyes of his Alistair, it is Shelley's own severe mind that now violently feels the brutal and monstrous of the unseen. Shelley, in a dialogue to Mary at the intermission of What Light Was. Enforcing our freedom, I've found a frenzy that overwhelms. An abyss I've discovered that's deepened, difficult to ascend. It's made my mind lightening, my Mary. All my merriment, extinguish your distress, that I do not consider love to be a god. Love is confessed by many to be a great god, Yet love is neither mortal nor immortal, but something intermediate. Love is communication between the divine and human, their attendant power to convey and render. Whilst we sleep and then wake, love, like Mab, is the converse conceded us by the gods. There are many daemons, and love is one of the more grand, the forced transmission between the divine and mortal. At waking and twilight, I find the lowest order and most material of daemons are birds, and their presages are the overthrow of our pantheon. I hear what they commune to me, their melodious night songs released from the progressive lusts of hell, heralding its darkling snares. Death is its own love. It sings to me songs of graves, and I scribble of the inconstancy of fortune and the instability of human life. I hear the birds, and misery comes home, my Mary. As daemons hunger for communion, men appear to me as monsters thirsting for each other's blood. Yet, my Mary, let me tell you of the greater daemon that is later conceded by the gods of each eradicated empire, when love is most enthroned. Whilst the great gates of the great walls rattle in a yearning ferocity of such an ensnared feast set for its terror, readied for release. In one last wind, all the birds fall dead, and the avenging arisen power, its hell on earth, is spread. It sings its own victorious advent song. Each comes to belief in its procession. Advancing, the food of men and women fails. They draw the breath of its decay. Spreading the scent of blood lures them, gaunt and wasting, stalking like fell shades among their perilous prey. In their green eyes, a strange disease glows, moaning upon their gazing faces. The vines and orchards are burned so that the meanest sustenance is weighed with gold, and avarice dies before the God it made. There is no animating fuel, and only what is loathed is found. In the marketplace, only stagnant, vile matter, even human flesh, sits as remains for sale. It is weighed in small scales, and many a face is fixed in eager horror. The depths are barren, barren now are all the depths. In windless heat, each dried well chokes with rotting corpses and becomes a cauldron of green mist made visible at sunrise. Madness rages like poison through their bursting veins. Many see their own lean image everywhere. Then ghastlier blistered selves appear beside them. Blind contagion, advancing, sheds its victims, shrieking in bloodlust. Lastly, they screech aloud, "We tread on fire." They shriek as they are consumed. The great heat spreads. Hell is become earth. Gasps the last of the love and the last of the blood of the last boiling man from the last melting trumpet. Desolation is deified. Be not anathema, and like my words abolished, they were no more. Oh, Mary, there is a horror after all love's powers. What Light Was on Amazon, Speak Low Poetry. Please share your thoughts on a review on Goodreads and Amazon. The centennial, 100 years since the publication of The Great Gatsby, as inspired by Percy Bysshe Shelley.